A torn dispatch lies on the stone table of the Nine Clouds Pavilion, its ink smeared by blood and rain. An account no one dares to finish. It speaks of Ling Han, who has just crossed blades with forces that should not have moved so soon, and of the fragile balance between alliances now beginning to fracture. The remnants of the last confrontation still echo, where cunning mattered more than strength, and every decision carved a deeper line between survival and annihilation. In recap, Alchemy, Alchemy. Emperor of the Divine Dao, Chapter 1669, Chapter 1670, the calm after conflict proves far more dangerous than the battle itself. Old enemies shift in silence, hidden powers begin to surface, and even the most calculated plans threaten to unravel under unseen pressure. As Ling Han advances, the question is no longer whether he can win, but whether he can withstand what is quietly gathering in the shadows. And somewhere beyond the visible board, a new move has already been made. Ling Han stepped once more into the vast and shadowed expanse of the netherworld, emerging from the nearest two-realm battlefield like a lone sovereign crossing between heavens. His eyes flickered with calculation as he determined the precise coordinates across the endless galaxy. Then, with a calm yet domineering motion, he unfurled a radiant golden path beneath his feet, a path forged by his own cultivation, and began his journey towards Sea-Space Planet. The stars drifted silently around him, but fate was never quiet. Not long into his journey, Ling Han's gaze sharpened. Ahead, the heavens churned violently. Dark clouds gathered, lightning roared, and the oppressive might of a heavenly tribulation descended. Someone was breaking through. Without hesitation, Ling Han slowed, then abruptly halted. The next moment he stepped forward, straight into the tribulation itself. At the heart of that storm stood a young cultivator, his aura surging wildly as he faced the heavens. He was a king-tier prodigy, one who had reached the pinnacle of the eternal river tier in just 1,000,000 years, a feat that would leave most in awe. But now, his face turned deathly pale. What is this? He nearly cried out in his heart. He was undergoing a heavenly tribulation, a sacred and dangerous trial. And yet, this stranger had barged in as if it were nothing. Was this madness? Suicide? Or was this man here to kill him? The young cultivator trembled, unable to comprehend the situation. He didn't even know this person. Senior, he stammered, his voice shaking. The golden path beneath Ling Han's feet revealed his identity. This was no ordinary cultivator. This was a demon master. Whether black demon or heaven demon, it didn't matter. Such a being could crush him with a flick of a finger. Ling Han merely smiled. Then he raised his fist and struck the heavens. Boom! The entire tribulation responded instantly. New clouds gathered. The lightning grew fiercer. Ling Han's eyes gleamed with satisfaction. As expected, he murmured to himself. The laws of this realm differ from those of the immortal realm. The young cultivator nearly bit his tongue in disbelief. Was this senior insane? He was provoking the heavenly tribulation and enjoying it? Did he truly relish being struck by lightning? But the heavens answered in full fury. Lightning descended, not in simple bolts, but in the form of towering giants. Each one radiated a terrifying aura that made the young cultivator's soul tremble. And they did not come alone. There were thousands. No, millions. An endless tide of lightning giants surged forward, their numbers growing without limit. The young cultivator's mind went blank. Who could survive such a tribulation? He thought, his spirit on the verge of collapse. But Ling Han let out a fierce battle cry. He charged straight into the storm. Peng! 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 His fists shattered the lightning giants one after another. Each strike was unstoppable, each movement like a god crushing lesser beings. The overwhelming tribulation that would destroy others became nothing more than a battlefield for him. Fuck! The young cultivator blurted out aloud. Unable to contain himself, he was so stunned that he completely forgot he was still undergoing his own tribulation. In that instant, lightning struck him directly. Pain exploded through his body as he suffered heavy injuries. Meanwhile, Ling Han rampaged freely through the storm. His strength, born from merging the laws of two realms, remained absolute whether in the netherworld or the immortal realm. The heavens could not suppress him. He plunged deeper into the tribulation clouds, and there, with ease, he seized the heavenly tribulation fluid. Ling Han examined it briefly, his expression thoughtful. Though I have yet to consume it, he muttered, This differs slightly from what I obtained in the immortal realm. The moment he took the fluid, the heavens calmed. The tribulation clouds dispersed. Ling Han stood proudly in the void, like a conqueror above the stars. Then his gaze shifted. The young cultivator below was now in grave danger. Without hesitation, Ling Han intervened once more, taking over the tribulation itself. He charged again into the fading storm, clearing it with effortless force. Moments later, the tribulation ended completely. Thank you, Senior, the young cultivator said, trembling as he bowed deeply. Though he had been injured due to his own shock, he knew well that without Ling Han's help, things might have turned far worse. In his heart, he felt a deep sense of shame. He had once believed himself to be extraordinary. But now, witnessing Ling Han's overwhelming might, his arrogance shattered completely. This, he thought bitterly, this is true greatness. Ling Han simply smiled faintly and resumed his journey along the golden path. The voyage continued. Over the next half-year, the stars drifted past in silence. Along the way, Ling Han encountered 2 more cultivators undergoing heavenly tribulations. Naturally, he did not hesitate to intervene again, harvesting the tribulation for his own benefit. By the time he reached his destination, he had gathered 4 additional portions of heavenly tribulation fluid. Finally, after half a year, Sea-Space Planet appeared before him once more. The golden path extended forward. Immediately, the Hysteria Demon Master rushed out, his expression tense and guarded, until he saw Ling Han clearly. His jaw dropped. His mouth hung open so wide it could fit 2 eggs. Demon Master? He exclaimed in disbelief. Not just any demon master, an earth demon. More than a dozen years ago, Ling Han had left as an eternal river tier cultivator, and now he had ascended beyond imagination. Ling Han laughed heartily and exchanged greetings, briefly explaining his purpose. Then, without lingering, he departed for Cold Cloud's planet to inform the Overlord Sword Demon Master. He did not stay long. After all, he wished to avoid encountering Zhu Xuan, that overly affectionate girl. Soon after, he also notified Ouyang Taishan, instructing him to gather everyone. Time passed. 2 years later, all parties had assembled once more on Sea-Space Planet. The Overlord Sword Demon Master, the Hysteria Demon Master, and Ouyang Taishan brought their people using spatial god tools. Together, they followed Ling Han. Through the 2-realm passageway, they entered the immortal realm once more. Their destination, the Great River Mystery Realm. This return journey lasted another 3 years. During this time, Ling Han continued to exploit the Netherworld's tribulations, gathering a total of 20 portions of heavenly tribulation fluid. But eventually, the heavens adapted. Just like in the immortal realm, the moment Ling Han interfered, the tribulation would dissipate instantly. No more opportunities remained. This revelation left the 3 demon masters utterly stunned, their expressions frozen in disbelief. Finally, Ling Han gathered everyone. "This is it," he declared calmly. "1 more month. Then, we enter the celestial realm." Excitement surged. Fear followed. Those from the Forbidden Lands felt both joy and unease. They would return to their true homeland. But they had once been exiled. Would they be welcomed or hunted? Meanwhile, the younger king tiers, like Xi Chenfeng and the second in the world, burned with fighting spirit. They had ruled the immortal realm. Now, they were determined to conquer the celestial realm as well. The great black dog, the heavenly emperor of thunder and fire, the rabbit, and the old ginseng all returned as well. The rock golem followed Ling Han endlessly, like a loyal hound. Little Qing stood proudly behind him, occasionally spreading her wings and pecking at him, her elegance unmatched. All of them had been nurtured by Ling Han, even consuming saintly medicine. Ling Han then handed the natural psychic fruit to the Empress. He himself had no need for such assistance. His path forward would rely on his own strength. A month passed in the blink of an eye. The day arrived. Everyone entered the spatial god tools. Even the saints and demon masters entrusted themselves to Ling Han. Though both Ling Han and the Empress could open the gateway to the celestial realm, they feared being separated if they acted simultaneously. Thus, the Empress entered the Black Tower, leaving Ling Han alone to bear the responsibility. Now, only he remained. He stood within a dark and silent region of the universe. Cold. Endless. He drew a slow breath. Beyond that gate awaited his parents, his son, who knew, and countless others he longed to see. That longing, suppressed for so long, surged like a raging tide. I am coming, he declared, his voice echoing through the void. Power gathered within him. He struck. Space itself shattered. The laws of two realms clashed violently as Ling Han unleashed his full strength. Blow after blow, over 1,000 punches, accompanied by endless streams of sword chi, tore apart the fabric of reality. Gradually, a cave-like passage formed, dark, deep, endless, but not yet open. Ling Han did not step forward. He knew, if he entered now, he would be lost in the void forever, so he continued, strike after strike, push after push, until finally, a faint light appeared. Like a mirror at the end of the tunnel, another world began to reveal itself, the celestial realm. Slowly, clearly, it emerged before Ling Han's eyes. Without the slightest hesitation, Ling Han stepped forward, his will as firm as tempered steel. Before him floated that mysterious mirror, a barrier that seemed to separate existence itself. Its surface shimmered with ancient power, as if it carried the weight of countless eras. Ling Han raised his hand, gathering every ounce of strength within his body, every thread of cultivation he had forged through blood and hardship. Then he struck. Crack! The sound rang out like the shattering of the heavens themselves. It echoed across realms, reverberating through the immortal realm, and even the shadowed depths of the netherworld. This was no ordinary wall. It was the boundary dividing the ancient realm from the celestial realm, a divide that only a great saint who had fused the laws of both realms could ever hope to breach. And now, it had been broken. The gates to the celestial realm were finally open. In the next instant, a violent surge of spiritual chi poured through the opening like a raging flood. It was rich, dense, and boundless beyond imagination. Yet even as this torrent spilled forth, the heavens themselves resisted. The broken gap began to mend, the fabric of space weaving itself back together with terrifying speed, seeking to seal the wound Ling Han had carved open. Ling Han did not linger. With a flash, his figure shot forward, piercing through the opening. Behind him, the passage collapsed rapidly, the black void shrinking until it vanished entirely, as if it had never existed. When he emerged, he found himself suspended in midair. Below him stretched a vast and indescribable forest, one so immense that it seemed to belong to a different world entirely. Towering trees reached skyward, each trunk thicker than mountains, their heights spanning thousands of meters. Leaves spread like giant canopies, larger than entire houses, and some branches bore fruits so massive they resembled miniature hills. Ling Han's gaze swept across the land, and his heart stirred. The spiritual chi here was overwhelming. It was many times denser than even the Great River Mystery Realm. With just a casual glance, he detected at least 17 godly medicines of level 10 or above, and among them, some even reached the astonishing level 15. Yet despite this abundance, he quickly sensed something amiss. His divine sense was suppressed. The range he could perceive had shrunk drastically, and even the height he could ascend was restricted. The laws of this realm were heavier, more oppressive. This was not the ancient realm he knew. This was the celestial realm, a place vast beyond comprehension. Here, a single city could rival a star in size. The entire realm was unified as one colossal world, divided only by a boundless ocean into two great continents, the Eastern Celestial Realm and the Western Celestial Realm. Scattered across the ocean were islands. Though small was merely a relative term, each one could easily match the scale of an entire galaxy from the ancient realm. Ling Han recalled the warnings of the Heavenly Emperor of Thunder and Fire. The ocean was a domain of death. Immortal beasts of terrifying cultivation roamed its depths, beings at the severing mundane tier, the dividing soul tier, even the immortal palace tier and ascending origin tier. A single careless step could result in annihilation. A mere flick of an immortal beast's power enough to destroy ships and all who sailed upon them. Thus, crossing the ocean was a perilous endeavor. Only powerful factions dared establish routes, and even then, they demanded exorbitant fees for passage. As for flying across, that was nothing more than a death wish. The skies were restricted, and any unfortunate soul who ventured too boldly could be devoured in an instant by lurking beasts below. Fortunately, Ling Han had no immediate need to cross the ocean. He did not even know where the rock palace lay. For now, survival came first. With a thought, he released his companions. The Heavenly Emperor of Thunder and Fire emerged, followed by the large black dog, and then the Empress stepped gracefully out from the black tower. The Heavenly Emperor of Thunder and Fire inhaled deeply, his expression filled with a mixture of nostalgia and sorrow. I've finally returned. His form had changed. He now appeared as a young man in his 20s, his once awkward presence replaced by a more natural and composed demeanor. Ling Han glanced around. Where exactly are we? The Heavenly Emperor of Thunder and Fire rolled his eyes. With how vast the celestial realm is, how would I know? Even celestial kings themselves haven't explored every corner. There are countless forbidden zones that even they wouldn't dare enter. Ling Han let out a sigh. If you don't know, just say so. No need to dress it up with excuses. That's right, the large black dog chimed in gleefully. Kid, don't pretend to be knowledgeable when you're clueless. The Heavenly Emperor merely snorted, choosing not to engage. His temperament had clearly matured. We need to find a city, he said seriously. This primitive forest is far too dangerous. With our current strength, encountering even a single immortal beast could mean certain death. Running wouldn't even be an option. He paused before adding, and don't even think about flying. That would just make us targets. Everyone nodded. They descended into the forest, moving cautiously. Here, Ling Han and his group were like specks of dust. A single falling leaf dwarfed them many times over. Yet not everything in the celestial realm was overwhelmingly powerful. Ling Han spotted ants crawling along the forest floor. Though ordinary by this realm's standards, each was still far larger than those of the lower realms, and possessed strength comparable to the spiritual ocean tier. This was what passed as ordinary here. The Heavenly Emperor of Thunder and Fire explained further as they traveled. In the celestial realm, most people are born at the shattering void tier. The stronger the parents, the higher the child's starting point. It's said that the offspring of a celestial king could even be born at the severing mundane tier. Ling Han raised a brow. But powerful clans do something different, the Heavenly Emperor continued. Before birth, they suppress the child's cultivation, dispersing it into the body to enhance innate talent. He chuckled lightly. It's easier to cultivate up to the Genesis tier here, but improving one's natural talent afterward? Nearly impossible. So this method gives them a greater foundation. Of course, it's not something just anyone can do, he added. Only clans with ancestors at least at the severing mundane tier can perform such techniques. Ling Han nodded slowly, absorbing the information. Even in the celestial realm, severing mundane experts were far from common. Though they possessed near-endless lifespans, such figures would rarely choose to serve under others. Power here was measured in cities. Even the smallest city required a severing mundane tier overseer. Anything less could only be called a gathering point. As for celestial king forces, they could command hundreds of millions of cities, each one as vast as a star. The group continued onward, moving without a clear destination, simply choosing a direction and pressing forward. In this realm, there was no distinction between day and night. Stars hung in the sky, but they were not true celestial bodies, only massive asteroid-like worlds. Time passed, measured only by their steps. After 10 days, they finally emerged from the forest. Before them flowed a colossal river, so wide it stretched for 1,000 miles, its waters winding endlessly into the horizon. Look! Ling Han suddenly exclaimed. Behind them, a massive ship was cutting through the river's currents. It was enormous, 3,000 meters in length and just as wide. Yet upon this vast river, it appeared almost unremarkable, gliding smoothly without difficulty. Its speed was astonishing. In mere moments, it overtook them and continued downstream. In this realm, even ships can reach incredible speeds, the Heavenly Emperor remarked. That vessel could match your full sprint. He then gestured toward the river. We just follow it. There's bound to be a city somewhere along its course. The others agreed. Though they couldn't board the passing ship, at least they now had direction. After some discussion, they chose to continue forward. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into a full month. At last, a city appeared in the distance. It was vast beyond imagination, so immense that its boundaries could not be seen. The great river flowed along its side, where hundreds of ships were docked, forming a bustling scene of life and activity. Ling Han narrowed his eyes, a faint smile forming on his lips. At long last, They had found their first foothold in the celestial realm. Wed.